I would like to call to order the July 17th, 2014 meeting of the Fayetteville Telecommunications Board. I'm going to go ahead and start with a roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Baldwin, Mr. Ehrig,
Here.
Ms. English, here. Mr. Huggins,
Here.
Mr. Seaton, and Mr. Smith is away, and I'm Ms. McCormick, and I'm here, obviously. Have you guys had a chance to look over the June meeting minutes? Does anybody have any comments or discussion? No?
I make a motion we approve the minutes, I'm sorry.
Second. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Has everybody had a chance to look over this evening's agenda? Okay. Any questions, comments?
A motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Let's go ahead and get our reports.
Roll right into it. All right. Welcome, and here we go into Granicus. You'll see in your paper the graph that I put in there was a little different than what you see on the screen. Apparently there was a little bit of a reporting issue with the metrics on Granicus reporting. So I went back right before I came to the meeting tonight. I went back and ran the report again and got an updated report for June. The total number, 251, was the same, but the top 10 list cleaned itself up a little bit. One of the things we talked about last month was the question was about Washington County Quorum Court and where does that fall and what was going on with that. And as you can see, that's number 2 on the hit parade here for the top 10 of June playbacks. And then, you know, we have city council meetings and other meetings that fill out the top 10. Down from last month, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Again, here's where they're coming from. We're direct linking in most of our traffic. 83% of our traffic is a direct link, and most of that's coming from the City of Fayetteville's web page. They click on a link on the front page, and it goes to the playback page. And as you can see on the heat map here, the vast majority is from the Fayetteville and Northwest Arkansas area. And then, of course, we do have some folks that travel, and we also have folks that have some interests that are in different places in the country, because we have people from Northwest Arkansas all over the place that are interested in what's going on in Fayetteville government. And so it's really great for us to be able to see this kind of information. Gives us a good insight as to where things are and where people are. YouTube. 1,027 views. That's, as you can see, the down arrow. That was also down from last month, from May. Estimated minutes watched, but we did go up 3 subscribers on the channel, which is always good to see. We like seeing subscribers. The top 10, not even going to count the Today in America. That's always at the top. So you can see, like Fayetteville Trail, Skull Creek Trail, Frisco Trail. Those things are, and Mud Creek Trail down at the bottom. Those, of course, in the spring and the summer, they have a lot of interest for people and for viewers. And then we've talked about with the staff that we are going to reproduce those trail videos and also open up and do some more for trails that we don't have any videos for. For example, you'll see there where it says Clear Creek Trail Ribbon Cutting in number 7 or number 6. That one we need to do a video for. So that's the top 10 in YouTube. Again, like I said, it's down a little bit from May, but it is June, and people are spending more time outside than they are inside and not watching as much on television. And 84% of the traffic is on the YouTube watch page itself, 16% from other sources like embedded, for example, on Facebook or something like that. So here's the composite numbers. As I said, 251 for Granicus and 1,027 for YouTube And it's down, as you can see graphically, that is down from May, and again, I believe that's because it is June and it's the summertime, and you can see also it's down. We had a much more of a drop from May to June in 2014 this year than we did last year, but we did see a fairly significant drop in 2013 from May to June as well. So I'm not concerned about that from a viewership standpoint. I think it's just a seasonal dip from that perspective. And those are the numbers. Oh, sir. Those are the viewership numbers for our government channel. A couple other things I'd like to update you on as we go forward. The project for us creating a production system that we can use on location is moving forward. We had to send out some things to bid, so it delayed it a little bit, but we're moving forward with that. Items are coming in, we're putting it together. We're saving the city some money by actually building the system ourselves. We spec'd all the equipment, we're sourcing all of the, and acquiring all the equipment that's going to go in it, but the system itself we're building in-house. So that's saving the city several $1,000s in engineering and design fees and those kinds of things. We like to try to do that whenever possible. Sometimes it's not possible because sometimes projects are just beyond our capabilities or our resources. So those we do work with other companies to do the design and engineering work on, but this one we could do, so we're really happy about that. The other thing that we're going to have, and the systems are due to arrive next week, and so I believe next month, by the time the board meets again, you'll see this system in place. We specified and bought a master clock system, and what that will do is that will allow all the 3 meeting rooms in the City Hall, this room, City Council room, and 111, to have exactly the same time. There will be a clock in the back of the room, a digital clock that will be synchronized with the master clocks that we will have in the television center. So that will make things a whole lot easier, especially when we're talking about the situation with the City Council agenda session that is telecast live from this room, and the City Council meetings and Planning Commission meetings that are telecast live from room 219. Sometimes it's difficult for the participants of those meetings to know exactly that the meeting has started, and because the telecast controllers are automated, so they switch to the camera feeds from these rooms automatically at the appropriate time. The fact that those will be synced time-wise with the clocks that will be in the room gives the people that are participating in those meetings a much greater level of confidence and puts their mind at ease in terms of, are we on the air, are we not, what time is it for sure, and so those systems will be in place in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and so we're really glad to see that, and that's the latest update on that. Otherwise, it's an interesting summer. You know, people go on vacation. We fill in here and there, and everybody at the television center on the government channel side is doing really well, and we keep moving forward. Any questions about the operation from our perspective?
No, I would like to ask that the record reflect that Mr. Baldwin is now present.
Mr. Baldwin is now present.
Sorry, I'm late.
You're fine.
Happens.
He's here.
Glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Is it okay to move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, it would be our second quarter / June report for 2014. We like to have the quarters in perspective as well as the monthly overview, so we'll kind of combine those two. June was the most active month for the second quarter, as we usually see and anticipate. We had 10 participants that totaled 24 class participations. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. But we had an increase in equipment usage and also an increase in short takes participants, so it was a very active June, as it often is. When it came to training, those 10 participants equaling 24 participations means that each participant is taking more than 2 classes by and large, which is really nice to have the repeat business, to have them on a track. And then out of those 24 participations, the average test score being 94% indicates that we are having a very high success rate, which is a very encouraging thing. And then in our advanced classes, we've had a real spike. We had more advanced participations than we've had yet this year. And then in studio participation, because we modified the curriculum to no longer be a 6-week all-inclusive, but rather a single week a la carte based on the track that they're interested in. We've had much more success with that. We had 4 advanced studio participations in June. And up until it was 1 in May, which we were excited about, 4 in June. So we are seeing actual traction with this program, which is very exciting because those people are empowered to be at an even higher quality volunteer participant in the productions that we're producing. So it's really great to have them worked into the program. And then as far as our certification activity goes, we had 5 candidate producers for a total of 25 this year. A candidate producer is someone who has completed enough classes to be eligible to put something on the channel. So it's really nice to have users who have completed enough things that they are able to take advantage of the resource of putting things on the channel. And then we did have...
I would like to make one clarification. You don't have to take classes to put things on the channel. I think more clearly it would be a candidate producer is someone who's taken enough classes to actually produce something at the television center, utilizing the television center's equipment. Any resident of Fayetteville can come in with a program, and we will be glad to play it on public access television.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then when it came to short takes, we usually have 5 participants total, and this month we had 7. Which included multiple musicians, because we are reaching out to the local music community to let them know that short takes is, in particular, could serve their needs very well. They're able to come in. They can come in twice a week and record a song for the television. Looks really professional, put their information down at the bottom, and they're able to let people know what they sound like, get the word out about their abilities. So we did have some people take advantage of that this last month, so we did have a slight bump in short takes participants. When it came to equipment utilization, we had an uptick as well in June, especially when it came to field camera uses, and that really does correlate with people who are in the class. When we have a bunch of people enter the field production class, then we see a genuine increase in field camera uses, and then that will fluctuate as they go into editing. The field camera uses will go down and the editing time will go up. So it's fascinating to see those cycles, but we did see an encouraging and very nice increase in activity in June. May of 2014 marks 30 months without a formal complaint at the television center.
Great.
Thank you. When it comes to programming, we continue to see the benefits of our new focus on local programming. And here I listed for you our live stream VOD views. This is how many times, once we have aired a show, then we put it in our VOD catalog on our web channel, and then people are able to go in and watch it at their convenience. And these are the numbers of times that people have watched these particular episodes. So it's kind of interesting to see which ones get the traction. And then, spoiler alert, Jason Sewell episode 4 came screaming out over 4th of July weekend, and with 300 views over the weekend.
Wow.
So that show is really gaining some traction, which we're very excited about. Jason has done an exceptional job, and he and I are working together to produce that show and get as many community members involved with it as possible. And as a result, it really does have the bulk of the views at this time, but also the Fayettunes heirloom got great traction, and Song Time with Mr. Troy. But Later with Jason Sewell is our top performer at this time. We're very excited about it, proud to have it on the channel.
And that's for June?
That is cumulative watches.
For the year, or just June?
Since they were uploaded. They've been uploaded over the course of the last several months.
Gotcha.
So some of them have been available longer than others. Here we see a graph of our live stream visits, and we see that the activity that is reflected in April, May, and June has more consistent viewership than November, December, January. We're seeing our mountains get closer together, and the peaks between them get higher, which means we're getting more visits over the course of those months. And then it does fluctuate. And that one is, you can see at the peak in June, we had 125 at that time. That is over the course of the month. So later on, we'll see statistics on the actual number of views. When it came to promotional activity, we hit our wonderful benchmark of 500 likes, But then I also thought I would go ahead and show you guys the impact of the Facebook pages for the shows that we're doing. The Gray Horror Review has 244 likes. Later with Jason Sewell has 400 likes. Songtime with Mr. Troy has 180, and Fayetteville has 152, and those are all shows that you can only see on Fayetteville Public Access Television.
Yeah,
So
those Facebook pages are actually, for those particular shows, are actually run by the show producer, are they not?
that's correct. With some, we advise and guide, but yes, they are responsible for that. And then they reach out to their social network, which greatly expands our outreach and being able to let people know that the shows are happening.
So we're taking advantage, Dan and his crew is really taking advantage, and public access television is taking advantage of the true power of social media, which is many people working on the same thing, whereas these pages that he's pointing out to you for these individual shows are not being done with any city resources. They're being done by the people who actually produce the shows. But every time that they have someone, it also completely feeds back into public access television and becomes a very synergistic thing.
Which is our creative solution to having no advertising budget. So it's been great to see it actually working.
But we do now.
But we do now. And that's also, that'll be a spoiler alert as well. And that's under promotional activities, so I'll mention the city trust fund that is generated by revenue that comes in from duplication and basic services that we do for a small fee. We have, I actually let you talk about it. You were at the city council meeting.
Oh, okay. As you're aware, sometimes there are things that we have to charge money for on public access side just to recoup costs. But that money goes into a special bank account that every once in a while we'll pull the money out of. So it reached a particularly good level, and on 2 nights ago, on city council meeting, approved a budget adjustment and a resolution to allow us to realize that revenue, $4,000, that we will now be, Dan and I will be working on a plan to utilize that money to promote public access television directly with residents of Fayetteville.
It's going to be an awareness campaign. That is
Are
our
those your
goal.
zip drives?
That's going to be the zip drives and maybe some T-shirts and the pens. Very excited about pens. But just having a little bit of revenue to work with to focus on an awareness campaign, I feel like the number one thing that we could fix is just doing everything we can to make the residents aware of the resource. The more residents that I'm able to talk to on a personal level, when I'm able to let people know what we're doing, the first thing they say is, I can't believe this is there, and I can't believe I didn't know about it. So we are doing everything we can to get the word out proactively, and the $4,000 will be a wonderful boon to that effort.
Who do you use for your print? Who's gonna do the pins and the shirts?
We always quote it. Every time we do something like that, we send out quotes.
Okay,
So we use the people that come back with the best price.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I use a really good local guy, and he's really, he can work with you on the price.
So
I don't know how the process works, but.
It's just that, it depends on how much, none of this will be, reach the level of having to do any kind of formal bid. That's $20,000, so that's not anywhere close where we are. But what we'll do is we will develop what it is that we want to do, and then we will contact, I know several companies that do promotional products, both locally and, you know, out there, and we just send it out and say, here's what we want, what are your charges for it? And they send us back a quote. And
Yeah,
But we'd be happy to explore it. 'Cause we
Yeah,
love using
absolutely.
local people.
yeah, okay. Yeah, it's sign planning is what it is. Corey Simmons, I don't know if anybody knows him or if used him in the past, but he does awesome work. He's
Mhm.
really, really creative.
It's very cool.
As far as a marketing plan, is that something that you will come and present to the board before you put it into action, or do we have no feedback in that?
Well, we certainly don't have a problem with doing that. Dan and I have had some preliminary discussions, but we don't have a formal plan at this point in time, because we were waiting to see where we were gonna, what the council was gonna approve for us from a budgetary standpoint. So, we certainly don't mind doing that. We also understand and know that, you know, we can't conduct board business via email.
Right.
So it would be another month before we would be able to bring something to the board, have you look at it, weigh in on whatever advice you might want to give, and then that would then put us moving into September, October before we could actually be doing some implementation. So that's really up to you guys. I mean, you're tasked with overseeing our operations, so, you know, if that's what you would like us to do, we'll be more than happy to bring a plan to you at our next meeting and have as much laid out as possible with budgets and such.
Is that something you feel like the board should pursue? And see where you're coming from, and I think that it's not a bad idea for us to have a look at it, but I know that you guys are ready to get going.
And looking at the time frame, and school will be starting back in August, yeah, it's a good time to get it out there.
It's true.
I agree
Activities, yeah.
with that. I just knew
Yeah.
that some of us on the board had some experience in that realm, is why I was.
Well, and any suggestions that you may have, I mean, if any of you that would have any input, we would love to have your input. And then
Mhm.
we also, really the bulk of the time will be in ordering the stuff, which we've pretty much laid out for you, what it is that we're gonna order. And then it would be the strategy to also have press releases to try to build hype around the awareness
Right.
campaign. So yes, that would be wonderful. We would love any consultation. And, you know, I would like to clarify whether or not you guys want us to move forward, or do you want us?
I'd say go ahead and move forward, because I don't want to hold up the
Forward.
timeline
Yeah.
from having materials ready for August, though I don't know that they'll be ready.
Do you have any idea how much of that $4,000 you'll be spending on materials specifically, and how much, or a ratio even, of how much will be spent on materials and how much will be spent on the marketing aspect and getting the word out there?
Well, our preliminary discussions really focused on, I mean, understanding that promotional items such as flash drives or anything that you're going to have printed, like T-shirts and things like that, are not inexpensive.
Sure.
I've had the opportunity to do quite a bit of that with our Recycle Something campaign for the city. So we've had a lot of success with that, figured out lots of ways to keep that cost down as much as possible. And those are the things that we need to get real specific on, that Dan and I need to right now. My preliminary feel is that we spend as much of our money as possible getting things in people's hands, not just getting things in front of their face. Because we can get stuff in front of people's face. What I mean by that is, would we want to look at a 2 or 3 month sponsorship with an outlet such as the Fayetteville Flyer? We want to look at that and see how it might fit in with the mix. Do we want to do that instead of another 100 pens? Probably not. Depending on, that's how we have to kind of juggle everything and figure out where all the
But I
Because
guess
it is such a small amount of money.
Yeah,
In the grand scheme
I
of things, we
understand.
can't really, you know, things like radio, television, those sort of things will not really be resources for us. The plan will be to utilize our local networking to get as much traction that way as we can while we're launching the awareness campaign. But like Fritz is saying, I see us spending the bulk of the money on physical items that we would be able to.
I don't disagree on the physical items, but, I mean, maybe we could do pins and T-shirts and not flash drives, or, you know, find some sort of
Sure.
way to, that way we can do some sort, like if it was a flyer option or something, but we knew we couldn't do both. I'd like to see some sort of way for us to get in front of people's faces like that,
Sure.
while also having things.
Some media
laid out.
presence.
Yes, yes.
outside of the
To
social
push
media
people,
and
yes.
the government television that we're utilizing now.
Right.
Okay.
Because the way that you're going to get things in people's hands, I mean, primarily, those items are going to be given out at the station, correct?
Well, and Dan also participates a lot in various events throughout the year. For example, presence at things like the Block Street event and Farmers Market, not every Saturday at the Farmers Market, but also having different opportunities to do that out in the community. And he also has several people that work for your media in conjunction with public access, that are part-time help, that also get out, and they have another whole social segment that, you know, I'm not going to have access to. So, you know, we have different people that go out and do different things from that perspective.
And that, when we do that sort of outreach at the moment, we have flyers, and that's it. And so, as it would be really nice over the last year and a half, as we've done outreach efforts like this, it's been very clear that we do need physical things to hand out when we're out doing the physical handshaking. And so that will make a big difference. I also participate in the Spring Creek Arts Festival that happens, and also the Offshoot Film Festival. We're able to have opportunities to have booths to let people who are in media in Northwest Arkansas know that this is a resource.
And the offshoot's coming up in October?
It is,
Okay.
as is Spring Creek.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys have a pretty solid idea of what you want to do. I guess as a board, we need to come to some sort of consensus. Do we want to be able to approve this, or look over it at the very least, or do we want them to move forward?
I have a question first.
Okay.
Are you spending the entire $4,000 at one time? Or is it gonna be a continuing thing for a 6-month period or something like this?
I think it depends on what we find in terms of our ability to get cost-effective media, like Ms. English was saying. If we can get, if we see that it's cost-effective for us to put an ad for, I'm going to use this example of the Fayetteville Flyer again, that really is a lot of our target market. And if we see that for 3 months it'll cost, I don't know, $400, but we can get it for $500, we can get it for 6 months.
Mhm.
Oh, we'll go with the 6 months.
But you'll spend the $4,000 at one whack.
Pretty much.
Pretty
I mean,
much. We're gonna-
It'll go
yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
By the time we get done with all the items that we're wanting to accomplish, then we would see what's left, I really do feel like the flyer is gonna be a great place that we would like to give a try. And then, that will easily burn up the $4,000.
I would like to see the items that you do, maybe at the next meeting or something.
Sure, absolutely.
So have we considered, so, and this may, we not be able to do this, I don't know, but any, like in-kind advertising, you know, we say, hey, Fayetteville Flyer, you know, we'll give you X amount of advertising, whatever, you give us this amount of advertising, we're not spending money, we're just kind of exchanging goods?
Well, the issue that we have is if we can't use the channel for that, because the channel has to be non-commercial.
Okay.
So we can't promote anything that's of a commercial nature on the channel itself.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that we can't do something, I mean, that has always been problematic for us as a government-run facility and a government-run operation, is that the channel itself and everything that we do is prohibited from doing any kind of promotion of commercial ventures. From our perspective, I can examine some of that and try to find out and talk. What I'll do is I'll talk to the Parks Department, because they do sponsorships of their activities, but they're an activity. It's like it's a Gully Park concert, you know, or a dive-in movie, and it's a very defined thing as opposed to an ongoing operation. So there are some things to deal with. I know that when they got the sponsorship for the dog park over on the west side of the city, it was a very significant issue to go through with the council, and how that was all talked about, and what was going to happen with that, and how that was all going to work. And so that's just going to take some exploration on our part as to if we could take advantage of some of those kinds of things. The channel itself, I can tell you though, by federal law, we cannot do anything commercial on the public access channel itself at all, and by city council policy, we can't do that.
And then as far as the print and material goods where people can touch and take home and have, I do a lot of, pens are great, people don't throw them away. Koozies are awesome.
People love koozies. They do.
Because they never throw them away,
Yeah.
and they pass them around, and it's one thing, like, that's why,
Everywhere.
yeah.
And lose them to other people all the
That's
time, which
exactly
would be
right.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just never go away, you know, you never throw them away. I've probably got 10,000 floating around.
I mean, and I think the idea of a zip drive is really creative and really good. The people that I imagine that they're going to be more expensive than some of the other items.
They are, and I'll clarify about the zip drives. The zip drives are specifically for people who come take classes. That's not something that we would be handing out on the street. That is specifically supposed to be an incentive thing. When you come, when you take a class, then we give you a drive that then has all of the paperwork, all sorts of information right there on the drive about public access. Then the goal is that while they're at the library or somewhere else, when they plug in their thumb drive and it's got our logo on it, someone could ask them, man, where did you get that thumb drive? And the answer is, you have to go take a class at public access to get the thumb drive.
Mhm.
So
Very good.
you're right, that will be the most expensive item that we pursue. We found that the combination of form and function was kind of fun in that circumstance. So that's why we would be pursuing a relatively small number of those.
Okay.
However, I have to say this, somebody told me the other day that they make pens that have a flash drive built into them.
It's a twofer.
Yeah, so who knows?
Kevin?
I guess my issue with the flash drives is that I feel like it's a lost medium. I don't feel like a lot of people use flash drives as much as they used to. And so, I mean, especially with how we all carry around media devices now, it's not as necessary to have a jump drive as it used to be. So I guess that's my question is, do we feel like this is something that's worth it? Are they going to get into the hands of the people that we need to? Or is putting them in the hands of people who are already at public access television just blowing part of the money that we could use to get new people?
Right.
So that's where I'm,
I can tell you that they can serve a function for users in taking their materials. So you edit a project, and then you can put your finished
working
movie
files and stuff
on
on it,
your,
yeah.
so it becomes something that even at the television center is applicable.
And which is not something you're going to keep on a mobile device.
Right.
So, I mean, it could be argued either way, I suppose. So I think it would be best then probably for us to, I understand that there is a bit of a time constraint if we ask for this, but I think if we could see a breakdown of how much of what is going to be ordered and how much you think it's going to cost, and I understand that you have to get bids from people, but just when you have a formula, let us know.
Sure.
If
We're
that's
happy to.
possible.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is it everyone else comfortable
I
with
agree.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Agreed.
All right.
Good job on getting the budget, though, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very exciting. It's something we have not yet had, so
yeah,
it's great to have a
it's
new
very
tool.
necessary.
Yeah.
Could we get it again next year, or is it a
Well,
It really does
yeah.
depend on the amount of demand for those services. So we went through a period in I guess at the end of 2012, early 2013, where we had several things happen in a row that really kind of fleshed out that fund for us, which was very nice. And now I would say it's not going to fill up as much as it has in the past, simply because with the DVDs, once again, with mediums changing, that service is becoming more rare because people are able to take things on portable drives rather than needing them on disk. So that service is beginning, I would say, is starting to dwindle. So we could look at creative ways of providing other services, or we are providing SD cards that are the right specs for our cameras. But once again, as a non-commercial, non-profit sort of operation, it's not like we have a whole bunch of markup. We're pretty much passing them along at cost. So, but we do look at this opportunity to get this awareness out and get some things as something that will definitely help out the rest of the year, and then next year we can certainly assess the needs and figure out what we can do.
Cool.
So here we have our Facebook likes over the course of the year, and just illustrating that has been steady growth, which we're very excited about. What we're looking at is the difference between 300 and 500. We were around 300 at the beginning of the year, and we have broken 500 as of now. So we're very happy with that rate of growth. And here we're looking at the live stream views just for the month of June over the course of the month, and you can see places where premieres happened, especially right there in early June. We had that premiere. But I think it's interesting to see that we essentially had 292 users for a total of 469 sessions. So that is pretty much our monthly activity at this time. And then if we look at the year-to-date numbers, we've essentially had 4,500 page views, 1,800 users, 3,200 sessions. So we've had really great traffic over the course of the year so far. And it's really great being able to have these analytics to see what the numbers are and see that it is a valuable and used resource. Here we have a view of June, the states that have been reached just in the month of June. So also nice to see that we are not just hitting Arkansas. Obviously Arkansas is the concentrated state, but we also have things people watching as far as the coast. Los Angeles, Nashville. So it's nice to, once again, all made possible by the live stream, by taking it to the internet, rather than simply relying on the cable provider. So, by and large, we had a successful second quarter, and we continue to meet the needs of our growing public access community. As we have new students come in, it's nice to know that we've got products and services to provide them and be able to stand behind it. And then we see that our social media outreach is continuing to be successful, and we are always working to improve our services and resources.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Do we have I've already covered this, do we have a goal as far as how many students we want participating in the class on a monthly basis?
That's a very good question. We have our capacity, and what we do is we keep an eye on our capacity, because when you're at 50% capacity, things are going great. When you're at 75% capacity, people start bumping into each other, and when you're at 100% capacity, it's time for growth. And actually, I would say it's time around 75, because you're anticipating that 100%. So we are currently in the 20 to 30% capacity at this time, where we have a comfortable pace going. And that's why we're very excited about outreach and trying to expand our user base. I would say that it's not really a measure of success, because from month to month, you just don't know. It's a volunteer operation, so people are coming in of their own free will to try to pursue continuing education and opportunities in media production. We do have months like historically May that are low, but then we tend to have months where we have lots of people come through. And so rather than establishing or holding it to some sort of quota, I think Fritz and I in our discussion have decided to really place the focus on making sure that the services are as high quality as possible, and just being ready, because there will be months where it's light and one person will walk through the door. And what we're able to do for that one person, as far as empowering them to learn a new skill, make a show, get that show on television, the sense of incredible satisfaction and gratitude that we get from that one person makes it feel like the whole thing is worth the effort. So, and that, by and large, that's more like 5 to 10 people a month that are just really happy that we're there, that we have the resources and the education available, and are eager to take advantage of the resource. So that's really where we've kind of placed it. And then when I say like good month or slow month, that's kind of relative to a mean over the course of the year. But our educational numbers last year were phenomenal, and then this year have evened out into a more sustainable level, I would say. And then we're looking for that slow and steady growth as we continue to move forward.
I think it's been a long, long time since we only had one person come through.
That's true.
In a different way of answering your question, short answer, no. And the reason for that is that there's really no way for us to require in the contract that the public access operator train a certain number of people, because you can't force people to come take classes. All you can do is put it out there and say, hey, it's available. Now, what we do require is we require that they offer a certain number of classes per week and per month. So those classes are available. And so what we do is we continue to try to find ways to motivate people. And one of the things that we're motivating people with is compelling content, like later with Jason Sewell and Songtime with Mr. Troy. As we have better content and more compelling content on the channel, it motivates more people to become involved. And as we get the word out more, as we're going to plan to do in the fall, it motivates more people to become involved. Video production is an interesting and very intensive process. And so a lot of people get excited about it, and it's understandable that they may not stay with it. But the whole process is very exciting, especially when we get to the point where somebody actually gets a program on the channel and it's, oh my gosh, I have a TV show for people to watch. And so that's very motivational. That's why we don't have a particular goal or quota for the number of people trained or the number of programs that are offered, just because we didn't feel like, from the city's perspective, we didn't feel it was fair to to hold a contractor to a number that they had no control over.
Right.
Do we have a goal? As many as we can fit through the door.
Right.
That's our goal.
Sounds like you want more quality more so than quantity. If that one person you're talking about could do something great versus 10 people not doing it.
We want everybody who wants to learn how to do television, make television in Fayetteville. If you want to make television, come down, we'll teach you how to do it. You're going to have a blast, and you're going to be able to get your story told. Everybody has a story. Some people have something different in their head. I bet you, of all the people in this room, we would all have something different, and we could all have an opportunity to do that. And I encourage anybody who has an idea that they want to try to put their story into pictures on a TV channel, we would be more than happy to help them.
And it's about having the resources and the capacity to be able to catch large groups. Just in the last couple of weeks, we had a group of students come through from the Fulbright Center, and we'll have 24 people come in at once. And so being able to facilitate that, we'll have these surges that come through, and then we'll have slower times. So it's a balance between the two, but sometimes we do lots of quantity, and sometimes it is focused on the quality. But the quality is always, we always make sure that the equipment and the service we provide is of the utmost quality.
I have another quick question, I hope. How much, Dan, do you guys have control over extra production? Say you wanted to do a summer concert series and have, I know you had Randall Shreve, was that February maybe? And just have like a series of local groups that, rather than Fayette tunes, like almost back to back, just having them come in and do something like that just to bump everything up in the summer, and then maybe again in the winter have caroling, or I don't know. How creative are you able to get? How much say do you have in that?
We are able to be creative because it's kind of nice. All three of us that work there are Fayetteville residents. And so as Fayetteville residents, we're able to request programs and able to initiate programs like Fayette Tunes was a program that I initiated. I am the producer of that show. And so the Fayette Tunes schedule has picked back up. We did have a lull in Fayette Tunes for a while, and now we are doing bi-weekly shoots again. We just had an episode with Copeland Bates come out, which was very exciting, and then we've got a new episode coming out next week with Dead Strangs. So it is very exciting, and yes, we do with short takes. You know, we've got the open door, and then with the produced shows, we do as much as we possibly can to facilitate. And of course, if anyone was interested in doing a summer concert series, the goal is to have residents, have other people besides ourselves come in with the idea and the inspiration and wanting to do it, and then we help them accomplish that. So I would say my response to that would be, it would be amazing. The more people we have come through that want to do that sort of stuff, we can give them the tools to do it, we can educate them on how to do it and make it high quality, and then we would love to get it out there for the community to see. And then as far as right now, with the 7 shows that we are assisting with, we're pretty much at the capacity with the staff that we have of assisting people in producing shows. So we are definitely busy with post-production schedules, but then at the same time, we are constantly recruiting community members to be a part of it so that we are able to step back, help start new things, and launch them and set them free. That is the goal.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your reports, guys. Dr. Smith brought something to mine and I believe Mr. Giesler's attention. It was an article that I guess he came across, kind of just what's going on in the rest of the world. Chattanooga, Tennessee, the municipality is making an effort to challenge state laws that limit their, the say they have in their internet service. And so basically they're going up against some very large telecom companies and providers, and they want to have that power and to be able to offer their citizens a different option. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Sure. Chattanooga has been offering internet services for their residents for quite a number of years. However, a state law was passed in Tennessee in 1999 that prohibits them from expanding from where they were. They can increase their service, they can make it better, but they can't make it any broader. They can't, geographically, they can't expand it by state law. There are many, many states, Arkansas included, that have restrictions on municipalities offering those kinds of services. Those were restricted many years ago. There are a lot of municipalities that do offer utilities. For example, the city of Fayetteville owns its own water utility, provides trash and sewer utilities and trash collection for its residents. Bentonville has its own electric utility. There are lots of municipalities that have at least their water as a utility. And the real discussion here now, going forward, considering what's going on with broadband net neutrality and that whole picture, is that the new chair of the FCC, Tom Wheeler, has said several times that he plans to do whatever the FCC can do to preempt those state laws that prevent local municipalities or local governments from providing those kinds of services. The other side of the argument from the telecoms is that they can't compete. It's anti-competitive because there's no way that they can compete against a municipality or a government, because the government doesn't have to worry about profitability and it doesn't have to worry about paying taxes. So that's the two sides of the argument. It's all going to get hashed out, I believe, at the state level. I don't know that the FCC can actually, without doing some very significant change in the rules of how internet service is viewed, in other words, move it into a Title II regulated utility, and how that might have an effect across the board. Without making some very significant changes in the rules, I don't see how the FCC is going to be able to get through the federal Congress rules changes that would allow cities to preempt state law. That's a big thing, preempting state law. So a lot of things that have to fall into place for that to happen. I think it's very interesting to see, though, that we're seeing movement on the issue. We're going to just have to keep an eye on it and see where things go. From that perspective, I think the most telling and part of the article was a quote from Mark Wigfield, an FCC spokesman, who said that a petition would have to be filed from the particular entity that wanted to challenge this. For example, Chattanooga would have their utility that provides that internet service would have to petition the FCC for assistance or for a rule-making declaration. And his quote is, "The Commission would engage in a very fact-specific, case-specific, and statute-specific inquiry," which doesn't sound like they're going to be doing any kind of sweeping rules changes. But if there was an organization like the utility that Chattanooga has that provides that internet service, and that utility and that organization would petition, then very likely they'll take a look at it. So it's going to be an interesting next few years on this front, as to see where all this stuff ends up falling out.
So that's just kind of to bring that to your attention. Thank you. Much better explanation than I could give. Does anyone have any announcements? I know that next month we're looking at electing chair and vice chair. Dr. Smith is stepping down from the position of chair, and I will be moving to Texas. But it's time for that anyway, so just keep that in mind. Anyone else? Do you have something?
No.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and adjourn this meeting, non-debatable.
So moved.
A motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second.
All right, guys. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.